Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to start our playthrough of Wild Assent by Lazy Squire Games. It took me a little while, but I got the miniatures all painted up, so we're ready to start our campaign in Wild Assent. There's a few ways to play this game. You can play either through a campaign or you can play The Hunt, which is kind of a survival mode where you have to play through 10 turns inside the world of Wild Assent. What we're going to do is we're going to play through the Prologue campaign. There's a few videos out there right now. If you're interested, go check out Adam Smith over at Rolling Solo, or of course Mike over at One Stop Co-op Shop have done a version of the game on the Hunt mode. We're going to show you what the Prologue campaign is like. So we're going to dive into this. What this Prologue campaign does is really sets the mood for the game when it comes to the actual Hunt mode. You're going to meet the characters that you're going to see in the Hunt mode, and on top of that, you're going to learn a lot about where they came from, what they're doing in this world, and how they came to be. Also, this is a great teaching method as to how the game is played. So I'm excited to bring this to you and show you how it all works. If you're excited to see Wild Assent, then I need you to meet me at the table. Being a campaign, there is also a fantastic story behind this. We start off in this with betrayal in Volcana Erosia. If you're not interested in the actual dialogue of this, or you don't want it spoiled, I've put timestamps in so you can go straight to the actual playthrough where we actually take on the enemies. But let's go ahead and see how we get to that predicament. In the realm of Meritat, High Kingdom of the continent of Volcana Erosia, Zaxos reigned supreme. He took his crown by the sword, executing the former king, his lord, in a bloody coup. Now he prepared for war yet again, marshaling his mighty army along the southern border of his kingdom. King Aberon of Coalagnia raided a few villages on the outskirts of Meritat, an insult that would not go unanswered. Palar, Zaxos' advisor and master of the king's spies, approached his lord in the hallway leading to the war room, a narrow walkway of mud and stone. "My king, I come with grave news. Aberon has dispatched assassins to end your life," he said. He offered a rolled-up scroll to Zaxos, who dismissed it with a wave of his hand. "Let the coward send his dogs. By the next week I shall be sitting upon his throne, soaking my feet in the blood of his kin." A stone fell to the floor behind Palar, and he drew his dagger and turned to face the sound. "It would appear word of assassins has been followed by the assassins themselves, my king." Zaxos drew his sword and stepped in front of Palar. "Put that blade away," he said. "Better that I die today than let my battles be fought for me." Zaxos raised his sword with both hands, poised to strike. "Abandon the shadows, you fools," he roared. "The only fool here is you," Palar said as he dove his dagger deep into Zaxos' back. Zaxos fell to one knee. He could feel the dull ache of poison coursing through his fiery veins. "Aberon pays far better than you, and he has a greater respect for those of my profession." Palar walked around to face Zaxos, crouching so their eyes could meet. "Besides, why should I work for one kingdom when I can rule two?" he said, smiling. Zaxos dropped his sword and grabbed Palar by the throat, and then rose to his feet and lifted the former master of spies into the air. "How are you standing?" Palar asked, struggling to breathe. "That poison should be enough to kill any man." "As if you knew anything about being a man," Zaxos said, smiling grimly. He then pulled the dagger from his back and drove it into Palar's left eye. Zaxos tossed him to the floor as a traitor writhed and screamed in pain. The king of Meritat retrieved his sword and slammed his fist on his chest. "Who's next?" The assassins were not talkers. Like their master, they drew their weapon and attacked. Zaxos eviscerated the first one, sidestepping and thrusting and swinging his sword hard against the man's belly. The next two were dispatched almost as quick as they struck, high and low, which Zaxos met with a parry and a leap, putting both of his opponents off balance. He thrust his blade into one and then pulled out with all his might, twisting his body and swinging his sword upward across the other's face, knocking him off his feet. Zaxos looked up to see more assassins arrive. Forgoing their stealth, they charged at him with full force. The king of Meritat prepared for the fight of his life. For this battle, our objective is, of course, to slay all the enemies. To win, if Zaxos is down, the player loses. There are some special effects for this encounter. Zaxos begins the encounter with the bleed. Simple prayer is unlocked for this encounter. The Levat pinners remain loyal to Zaxos and will fight by his side. Shuffle the Levat pinners into a separate instinct deck from the Levat defenders and berserkers. When you draw a card from the Levat pinner deck, ignore the targeting, select a target, and move attack using the rest of the stats on their card. For this encounter, use the order of activation: Zaxos, enemies, Levat pinners, and then repeat. We'll see exactly how all this works when I go to set up the game. Here's our list of combatants. We have, of course, Zaxos, we have Levat pinners, we have Levat defenders and berserkers, and as you play through this game, this is going to change, especially in the campaign. When you play the actual hunt, you're going to actually be fighting random enemies through these based on different things that you uncover as you go searching out into the world. And the people you fight with is basically the ones you decide to use. But there in the Prelude campaign and the other campaigns, sometimes they tell you who you have to play with because it matches what's going on in the story. Here's our skirmish board that we're going to be setting up when we go to get the game ready. You're going to notice they've numbered, the numbers here are going to match those enemies we had saw just earlier, and the black ones are going to be all the allies. This is also which direction they face, which matters in this game. The X's are going to be where you're going to be placing terrain, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So let's get the board and get our miniatures. We'll start by placing the hero Zaxos. He is right here. He's ready to go. I painted up with some gold and red. I thought that was pretty cool because that looks very similar to what he looks like on his character card here. So we have him all ready to go. We'll place him where he's supposed to be on the map, which is right there. We'll next place down his friends, the pinners. And all my pinners look kind of the same. They all look like this. I kind of painted them up with the same color scheme. I just gave everyone a little different color on their like placard things here on the base of their character here. We'll place him out where he's supposed to go. One is going to go right here, right in that water, just like the other guy. We got another guy who's got kind of an orangish sheen to him right down here. He's going to play placed right there. Our next pinner, we only have 3 of them. Our last one, I should say, is right here. He's got some green going on. We'll place him over here, right above that statue. We're going to be facing off against berserkers and defenders. Our defenders all look like this. They have these swords and shields with them. And I've again painted them all a little bit different with a different color down here, but everything else looks pretty much the same. One of our defenders is already in base-to-base contact with our pinner over here. We have a couple other ones. Now these are a little bit different. They're kind of look like Jedis because they haven't put their lightsabers out yet. No, actually, the swords broke off inside the foam. They have some foam, which is really nice for holding the miniatures. Be careful, when I pulled them out, I've lost 2 of my swords. They broke right off. I'm going to put one right here, but I'm not too worried about it. We have another one we're going to be placing. He's going to be trying to take on Zaxos. He's going to be sitting right here. Oh, I lied. I have this guy in the wrong spot. He's supposed to be right there. I have 2 coming right at Zaxos. I have berserkers. That's these guys. Look at these guys. They got a couple weapons on them. A hammer or mace type thing, a war hammer, and a hand axe here. They're going to be coming after all these other guys. One of those is going to be up here. That's where he's going to be. And again, I painted each one of them a little bit different with the red down here or the green or the blues or something, just to make them stand out a little bit different. I have another one right there. And our last one is going to be over here. He's got this green again. He looks like just like his friends, but he's green right there on the bottom. He's going to be placed right there. Our board for our characters are set up. Now let's look at how we place terrain. In the book, it shows the different types of terrain that you're going to be facing when you play the game. Also, if you notice over here, when you play the hunt mode, it's a random chance as how you are going to be determining how to set the board up. Of course, during the campaign, it's already placed out for you. It's set in a certain static position. We're going to be drawing to see what type of terrain happens. If we have partial cover come out, we are able to get +1 defense if you're adjacent to the field, and you can either end your movement on partial cover, but you may be able to move over at a cost of 3. Next, we have full cover. Seekers and creatures may not end their movement on or move over this field. Any attacks that draw a line of sight through full cover cannot be made, even if the miniature is adjacent to full cover. That's what this one is. And then we have our thorn bushes, which is very similar to full cover, but if you ever get knocked back into it, you're going to be assigned 2 damage and bleed, which is a status effect that causes 1 damage every time you're activated until it is healed. And when you heal bleed, when you use a heal, it doesn't actually heal the hit points that it says it does. It will heal the bleed token first. Then we have a pit. We don't want to ever see you get pulled into a pit. Any seeker or creature who enters a pit field must end their activation immediately, forfeiting any unused speed actions. Then they must also spend their entire next activation move to an adjacent field. It means you pretty much lose your turn. That's going to be terrible. To determine which ones we have out on the board, you're going to see that there are some Roman numerals here, and this game comes with a set of cards that are Roman numeraled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go ahead and give these a good old truffle shuffle, and then we're going to draw one and see what we get. We have gotten card number 1. So partial cover is going to be one of the terrain pieces. Give them another truffle shuffle here, and we're going to be drawing another one. It is going to be, what is this? Looks like 6 VI. That's going to be a pit. Now that we've drawn 2 of these and found 2 of the type of terrain we're going to be putting down, we take the 2 cards and put them back into our deck and shuffle it up. This is why you really can't use a die. You have to use this deck of cards, though I bet there is a way to do it with dice. It's just so much simpler to use these cards. We'll shuffle these up. Our second one is going to be 2, another partial cover. Now that we've had our second partial cover drawn, if you ever draw another partial cover, you can't. You can only have 2 of any type of terrain feature on the map at any time. Our next one is 1. We can't have that one. We get a 3, though, which is going to be full cover. So we're going to have 2 partial covers, a full cover, and a pit. Let's go place those out on the board. I'll place our terrain out there starting from the top and moving this way. Our first one was a partial cover, so we'll take that and place it out on the board. It's going to be right here. That's where that one's going to go. Next, we drew our pit. There's no miniature for the pit. It's just this. Because how could you make a miniature of a pit and still have it flat to the board? This is going to be right here. We then drew again partial cover, which is this one. It's going to be placed right here. And our final one was full cover, and that's going to go right here. With our skirmish board all set up, let's go take a look at the enemies and also our allies and Zaxos himself. Here are our 2 enemies, the Berserkers and the Defenders. We'll start by looking at their health. Our Berserkers has 7, our Defenders have 10. So we're going to take their tokens to represent them on this board, this track right here. And as they move down this track, they're going to be more wounded and eventually they will die. We'll put our guy right here for 10 for the Defenders. Each one of these is a little bit different. Let's take a look first at the Berserker. He has 0 defense against physical attack and 1 defense against magic attack. He has a couple abilities down here. These are always in effect. It says Mercenary Squad. Veteran Berserkers move and attack separately as part of the same activation. When the Veteran Berserkers have received 7 or more damage, slay 1 Veteran Berserker, then heal self for 7. They also have Execution. If an enemy has 4 or less health after the Veteran Berserker attacks, slay them. Oh, that's merciless. That's absolutely devastating. We have our Veteran Defenders. They have 2 defense against physical attacks and 1 against magical attacks. They also have the same ability that the Veteran Berserker does, the Mercenary Squad. So once one's killed, you're going to slay the Defender and heal it back to 10. It has Rebuke. On defense, ignore bonus back attack damage. If you're ever able to attack somebody in the back, you get to add +2 to the damage that you're doing to the enemy. This guy will prevent that. Of course, he will not, so getting them in the back is probably a good plan. Every enemy comes with an enemy AI deck that you're going to take a hold of. We have our Defenders and our Berserkers. To activate our Berserkers and Defenders, we're not going to know who's going to go where because we're going to mix these all together. And for the very first Prelude scenario, I'll tell you, it's pretty basic as to what everybody is going to be doing. And again, that's just to teach you kind of how the movement on the board goes and how to actually make some attacks. That's all they're showing. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to see any ranged attacks in this very beginning battle. I'm going to try to get through this one and the next one as fast as I can so we can get to something I think think the third one looks really cool, and I think it's going to be really interesting what's going to take place. We're going to take our deck, put it out next to our veteran berserkers and our defenders, so that they're all set to activate when it's their turn. Here's our pinners, and also Zaxos himself. He's right here. There's a lot more going on his card, so let's quickly go through the pinners. The pinners have 8 health. They are able to absorb 1 damage from each attack, either from a physical or magical. They have the same mercenary squad as the other one, and it has a rebuke effect. Enemies may not move or be moved into the gladiator's front field. Now, there are some out there that are already starting in the front field, and those are going to be okay, but you can never move into or be moved into the front of these guys, because they got those big giant tridents. We don't want to get in front of that. So we'll place a little token here on the 8. That's where they're going to go. Then we have Zaxos himself. He's out of control. He does have 3 movement, and this is just straight movement. There's other types of movement like swift and flying, but we're not going to be dealing with, especially in the very beginning of the prelude, that's for sure. He has 30 health, which is out of control. He's a monster. We're going to place his token on the 30, which is just right up there. He has all these different skills going on, but let's start here. He has 2 physical defense, and he has 1 magical defense. You're seeing some numbers here. This is his range value, so as he attacks, he has to be adjacent to the target. He has 3 automatic damage when you attack. This one cool thing I like about this game is there's automatic damage, and then there's some dice damage as well. So it's a lot of fun. So you're always able to do something, which is pretty fun. So we're going to do 3 damage, and then when we attack, we're going to also be rolling 3 white dice. These white dice either have star symbols or swords on them. Star symbols are going to activate special abilities. For example, Maim, right down here, it says on special fatigue, which is a status token that allows a person to get -2 movement on their next turn activation. But we'll see that if that even takes place. He also has an ability that's always active called Teamwork. If an adjacent enemy in Zaxos' frontal arc is attacked, he may make a 4 attack dice attack against that enemy. This is going to be just a 4 dice attack. There's no extra base damage to it, which is the 3. I don't get to add that. I just get to do what the 4 dice are telling me. That's Zaxos' ability stats over here. Then look at all his ability he has. Well, look at the bright side. We only have to worry about 1, and that's called Simple Prayer. It says heal self for 5. So we're going to unlock that skill. It's going to be active. If we use it, we will then make it exhausted by flipping over this token. He also comes into this fight with a bleed token. After all, he got stabbed in the back. What a backstabbing person. Got him. Oh, what a evil guy. But don't worry. You don't have to worry about him. He's got a dagger in his eye now. If you missed out on the story, well, there you go. That's why he's bleeding. We'll put this on Simple Prayer. Like I said before, bleed, when you go to heal it, it wouldn't heal self for 5. It would actually heal the bleeding token first. Then any other healing after that would heal him. That Zaxos and our pinners, they're all set to go as well. Except we have to get the pinner's deck ready. The pinner has his own deck, of course, as well, because nowhere on the card does it tell you how he attacks. His attacks are always found inside this deck. So we're going to shuffle this up and place it next to him right here. He's all set to go. Our characters are ready. Let's go ahead and start the betrayal in Volcana Erosia. Since Zaxos is bleeding, the first thing we do when he activates is he has to take 1 point of damage, moving him down to 29. When activating our characters, which is also called a seeker when you play the hunt mode, but during the prelude I like to call them their characters. When we get to activate a character, he's going to get to move, then he's get to perform an action. That's it. So it's pretty easy and pretty straightforward. His movement is only 3. We're going to move 1, 2 to right there. And yes, facing does matter, so I'm going to turn 3 just like that. That puts me adjacent to this, which is going to give me +1 to my defense, which is going to be pretty good. So if anybody attacks me, I'm going to get that advantage. These guys aren't going to get that advantage. He's adjacent to me, and anybody that is in a square around is adjacent. All movement is done orthogonally, which you saw me move. You can only move orthogonally unless it says otherwise on an enemy AI card, or you have Swift. Swift allows you to move diagonal. Of course, Zaxos is not very swift, so he's going to move right here. As an action, Zaxos could use his Simple Prayer to get rid of his bleed token. We're not going to do that. I'm more interested in taking out some of these guys. So at a range of 1, which I am, I get 3 base damage, and I get to roll 3 dice. So at least we're doing 3 to these guys. Let's see if we can get some more. Zaxos, don't let us down. I got 2 more hits. We did a base damage of 3, plus we got 2 on the roll, so that gives us 5. We're going to reduce it by the physical defense of our defenders, meaning we did 3 damage. So we'll reduce it, we'll remove his token 1, 2, 3 to right here. So he's sitting at a 7 along with the Berserkers. With our activation complete, we're going to move into the next person, which is going to be the enemies, which are these two. So we're going to draw 1 card from the AI stack and see who activates. We're going to deal with the veteran Berserkers. They're going to target their enemy. The first thing they're going to try to target is the lowest health. If that's the same among players, then it's going to go towards the nearest. It's going to advance 5, meaning it will use its full movement of 5 to be able to get to this attack. It's going to attack with physical attack range 1, 3 base damage, 2 attack dice, and if it on special times 2, which means it has to roll 2 of these with the dice, it's going to do a bleed effect, which is going to be absolutely devastating. Let's activate our Berserkers, and because they have this special mercenary squad, all of our Berserkers are going to activate with this 1 card. We'll start by moving these 2 Berserkers. This Berserker is actually supposed to be here according to the diagram. That's my fault. I put him in the wrong space. This one is going to move advance 5, so he's going to move as fast and close to as he can to get to the person with the lowest health and the least amount of movement. So he's going to move 1, 2 to right there. This Berserker cannot move into the front field of that character, which is that space right here. It's not the frontal arc. The frontal arc would be these 3 dice right here, but the pinner only says the front field. Enemies may not move or be moved into the gladiator's front field, so that's that space right here. So this one can move up right here and attack that pinner just fine. Last, we have these 2 already locked in combat. That character is not going to move. To begin combat, we'll start with the red one, go to the green one, and then finally we'll attack with that blue one. Our veteran Berserkers do a base damage of 3 and roll 2 attack dice, and it got 1 more attack, so that's 3 plus 1 is 4 damage. Our veteran pinner is able to reduce the damage by 1, meaning they will take 3. 1, 2, 3, bringing them to 5 health. Our green one attacks next, and it got another hit. Now this is a special. Specials are considered hits when it comes to determining the damage, but they also can activate special abilities. The Berserker special ability only activates if both of the dice are special on the roll. Since only one was, we are still going to take 4 damage. 4 minus 1 is 3, 1, 2, 3, so those veteran Berserkers brought it down to 2, and because of their magic card here, they're gonna execute my poor guy. It says, if an enemy has 4 or less health after the veteran Berserker attacks, slay them. So this character is slain, and because of our mercenary ability here, when the veteran pinner have received 8 or more damage, slay 1 veteran pinner and heal self 8. So we're going to heal him back to 8, and we'll remove our pinner from the board. So sadly, they have been able to take down one of my companions here. Our last Berserker to attack is going to be our blue one. We'll roll our 2 dice and see how it goes. 1 more hit. Wow, these Berserkers are no joke. That's 4 damage again. So as previously done, 4 minus 1 is 3. 1, 2, 3, down to 5 health. With those Berserkers finally done, it's time for our pinners to go. Maybe they can take a guy out. Our veteran pinners here are going to be able to, 1, target the nearest enemy. Now, according to our special rules of this scenario, the targeting on this doesn't come into effect. I actually get to maneuver these guys how I want, but I still go with the rest of the cards. So advance 4, physical attack, range 2, 4 base damage, 2 dice attack, and if I get 2 specials, I get to immobilize one of the creatures I'm fighting. So let's move our characters. We're going to try to save our pinners. Our pinners are allowed to advance 4. I'm going to move this one 1, 2, 3, and then turn him 4 to right there. And he's going to be able to make an attack because he has range 2. 1, 2, I can attack that defender. I could have stayed down here and kept on attacking this, but I think it's strategically better to move over here. So it's always good to look at the options you have on the board to decide what your best plan should be. We'll do 4 base damage from the card and roll up 2 dice, and I got 1 hit. Wow, it seems to be the theme today. We got a total of 5 damage on that defender. 5 minus the 2 defense that this defender has means I have done 3 damage. 1, 2, 3, bringing our defender down to 4 health. Now comes my Trixie. Zaxos is in the front arc of that swordsman. So his front arc is going to be right here, these 3 dice. Our spearman made a range 2 attack against this guy, and Zaxos has his teamwork ability that if an adjacent enemy is in the frontal arc, is attacked, I may make a 4 dice attack against that enemy. So I can make a 4 dice attack against this guy because he is in my frontal arc. Thank you, Pinner, for helping me out. I don't get to add anything to this. I just get to roll 4 dice, and we got 3 damage. Now, of course, he does get to reduce it by 2, meaning we did do 1 damage to that defender. I'll take anything I can get. 1 more against him. Now, strategically, it would have been best to try to do something like that against these berserkers, but I haven't been able to get myself into that kind of position yet, but I'm going to do my best to try. Now, my last pinner has a small dilemma here. One, I could turn and move over to this direction and attack this swordsman, being able to take out one of these defenders. But if I do that, I'm going to be opened up to all these berserkers pretty much destroying all my pinners. So what I could do instead is move back here and at least start attacking that berserker and hoping that these defenders activate before those berserkers activate again. I think that's our best bet, is I'm going to have to start taking these guys out sometime. These berserkers are absolutely brutal. We get our 4 base damage and only 1 more hit. I was hoping for more. Our berserkers don't have any defense, so that's going to be 5 straight damage. That will move them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2 health. It is now Zaxos' turn, and at the start, because of bleed, he takes 1 damage. Zaxos might be a mighty king, but he is not very fast. I only have 3 speed, so I can't even get to any of these pinners to really help them out. I'm just going to take my attack against the swordman, hopefully take one of these guys out. I mean, we have to eliminate all these guys. I get 3 base damage, and then we get to roll our dice. I got 2 more, so that's 5 damage. That's going to be perfect. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1, 2, 3, elimination. We were able to take out our defenders. Now, of course, they do get to heal back up to 10, which is absolutely ridiculous, but we were able to take one of them. When I slay them, they heal self back to 10. We'll remove one of our Jedi Knights here from the board and move into the enemy turn. Let's draw our card and see who activates. Come on, defenders, defenders, defenders. Oh no, the berserkers. I think we're going to lose another pinner. The lowest health. It's going to advance 5. Physical attack, range 1, 2 base damage, and 3 attacks. There's a chance I might survive this. We'll see how it goes here. We'll go and move our berserkers first and then attack. The lowest health enemy on the board is this pinner and that pinner. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 away. Then it would be the nearest, and they're both the same, so it doesn't really matter. Well, this guy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we're going to move these guys this way. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this way to try to get to this pinner. Then, of course, we have 1 more we have to move. This guy's going to move 1 up and try to take that pinner out. I want to come back to these movements really quick. The targeting priority is the one with the lowest health. He does not have the lowest health, so they're going to ignore Zaxos as they're moving by. Notice they didn't even stop to try to attack him. They are going for this pinner right here, or the pinner at the top. I chose this one because they're equidistant. He gets 2 base attack, and he gets to roll 3 dice. He only got 1. That's fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean not fantastic. I didn't do my math right. I get to reduce it by 1. So right now I'm taking 2 damage because he did a total of 2 base and 1 success. So we're at 2 base damage. Then I'm standing next to that terrain, so I get 1 damage, but I still am going to drop to 4, which will activate my execution ability. If he has 4 or less at the end, the veteran berserker slays the enemy. So he's been slain outright, and he's going to go heal himself back up to 8. I'm down to 1 pinner left and all these guys on the board. We'll remove our green pinner from the board. Sorry, Mr. Pinner, you didn't make it through the battle. We'll draw our card for the pinners to go. Let's see how they do. Veteran pinners are nearest, advance 4, range attack 2 base, and 4 attack dice. This is the same card. You're going to notice a lot of the same cards for this very first fight because, again, they're teaching you more about moving around the board and just getting to attack and seeing some small tactics that are happening. Like I said, there's going to be no range attacks in this fight, but as the game goes forward, it's going to be introducing more and more through this prelude. Of course, the hunt phase, the hunt mode actually just throws a lot of the stuff just right at you. So this is a really good way to learn how this game is played. I think this pinner is just going to move up and attack that berserker. And sadly, it's in the front arc, but I think this berserker is going to be super dead by this pinner's attack. The pinner does 4 base damage with 2 more, so that's 6. Sure, I get a super awesome roll when I only have to do 2 damage. So this guy's dead. He's going to heal himself back up to 7. And we will remove this one from the board. Of course, when I said we're not using range, the pinners do have a range of 2, so we are acting with a little bit of range, but there's some really cool things that can activate with some of the Seekers with like these huge range abilities and jumping over things and all these cool things, which we're going to see as we continue playing through this prelude. This brings us back to the King Zaxos. We're going to move him down 1 on the health track because he's still bleeding. And I'm not digging these berserkers. They are rough. If they activate again, I think we're going to be out all our pinners. And to do that, I'm going to try to stop them. We're going to move Zaxos. He can move 3 spaces. He can move 1, 2 to turn this way and attack him. Zaxos gets his 3 base and the 3 other dice. How did we do? We got an extra 2 hits. That's fantastic. That's 5. We'll take our Berserker down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But oh no, he's standing next to that terrain piece. That gives him +1 defense. So we're going to give him back 1 of his health. Oh, let's see who acts next. If it's those Berserkers, we're in big trouble. We have the veteran defenders finally. Their enemy is the lowest physical defense, and they're going to advance 3 and make a physical attack with 2 base damage and 4 attack dice. And on special, they're going to cause knockback. This first one will advance 1, 2, 3. Our second one will advance 1, 2, 3 and turn that way to attack. Let's roll our 4 dice and see what we get. We only got 2 more hits. That's a total of 4 damage. Good news, my pinners are next to that terrain piece, so I'm going to gain +1 to my defense, so I'm going to reduce the damage by 2, bringing them to 6 health. The pinners are next. Let's see what card they have drawn. Veteran pinners are going to advance 4 and attack with 2 range, 4 base damage, and 3 attack dice. Wow, that's a ton of damage. And they get to fatigue if they get 2 specials. Our pinner could go after one of the Berserkers, but this is a massive amount of damage I could potentially be doing. I could potentially do 7 damage if I roll perfectly. So we're just going to turn him for his movement, and he's going to go after these defenders since they're really tough to get because of that defense. Not to mention they're getting an extra one because they're next to this thing. Oh, I got to get these guys all away from this thing. Let's see how much damage we do. We'll attack this one. With my 2 range, we're going to attack that defender that's a few spaces away. I got my 3 attack dice here. Let's see how they go. I got 2 more hits, so that's a total of 6 damage we did to him. Sadly, he's going to reduce his that damage by 3, so we've only done 3 to him. 1, 2, 3. Man, these guys are tough to take down. Zaxos is continuing to bleed out, but we have to put the pressure on. We need these Berserkers dead, so I'm going to take my attack. Let's roll our 3 dice and hopefully get... Yes, we got 2 more hits. That's 5 damage. That's going to take out a Berserker. Our Berserker only had 3 health left, and we did a total of 5. We reduced 1 because of the terrain piece. He's going to take enough to defeat him. He's going to then heal back up to 7. We will remove this one from the board, and I have to draw their card to see who attacks next. I'm actually hoping it's the Berserker this time because there's 2 defenders right here. Oh, it is the Berserker. He is going to go at the lowest health, and he advances 4 and will do a physical attack, potentially doing 5 damage, and then he will be able to assign 1 damage to enemy 2 and self. Oh, this is interesting. On each special, assign 1 damage to enemy and self. Wow. With only an advance 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the best he can do. He can't get in to be able to attack our pinner because he's facing in the wrong direction. It's time to see what our pinner does. I have a feeling he's going to be called Destroy a Berserker. Nearest is going to go 4. Now, of course, the targeting doesn't matter on these cards because I'm in charge. Advance 4, range 2, 3 base damage, and 4 attack dice. Again, an absolute monstrous amount of dice. Good news, bad news, I can get an attack on this Berserker from right there or right there, whichever I see best. I think we're going to go from here. The problem is I'm going to be standing away from this terrain piece now, so I'm not going to get the extra defense. We get 4 attack dice on top of that 3 base damage. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, plus the 3 is 7. He totally took this Berserker out in 1 shot. Oh, that was massive. Zaxos is still bleeding. He's going down to 25. Now it's our turn with Zaxos, but we will be removing the Berserker from the board. And Zaxos is just going to turn, I think, and attack. Now, he doesn't get any extra attack from the behind this guy because he has the Rebuke. On defense, ignore bonus back attack damage. But that's okay. We still have to try to take these guys down. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to move him. I'm going to move him 1 over to here. I think it's going to be a plan. That's going to be 2 movement, 1 to turn myself and 1 to move over there. Because at this point, I think we are going to use our action to do our simple prayer, which is going to heal self 5. But it's not actually going to heal us. It's just going to remove our bleed token. I'm done bleeding. That was no fun. Having used our simple prayer is a good time to explain how active skills work. These active skills require an action to use, which is what we did. Then on top of that, they're often used for attacks or powerful abilities. Unlockable active skills are put on cooldown when used by flipping the unlock symbol over to the cooldown symbol. We will be able to flip this token back over at the end of the Seeker's next activation. So now that we've healed our bleed, when this uncools down, I will be able to start healing myself for 5 if I wish to. It's time to see who goes next on the enemies. Now, if I draw a Berserker card, that means they're not even going to do anything. But if I draw a Defender, of course, we're going to have to deal with it. What do we get? Oh, we got a defender card, so he's going to go ahead and attack. The lowest physical defense, and he's going to advance 3 base damage, and 3 attack dice, and potentially knocking back the attacker. Both of our swordsmen are going to advance to be able to attack that pinner. We'll attack with our blue one first and see what we get. Oh my goodness, a total of 6 damage. Now he can only block 1, so 6 minus, oh wow, he's already down to here. 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're going to see the end of our pinners. No matter what our next veteran defender rolls, he's going to do at least 3 damage, reducing it to 2. He only has 1 health left. Our pinner is going to be removed from the board. I don't have any more allies with me. I'm by myself. Lucky for us, we're not bleeding anymore. 1, 2, I can move in and attack, but again, don't get that back damage. I really wish I could. I do 3 plus whatever we get here, 1, so that's a total of 4, which means I'm really going to do 1 damage. That terrain piece is absolutely out of control. With the end of Zaxos' turn, we're going to flip this back over, so at some time if we want to, we can use that simple prayer again. Let's see who goes next for the enemies. It's the Berserkers, so that means there is going to be no activation for the enemies in this turn. Zaxos has a plan. He's going to move 1, 2 to here, and he's going to attack this one. Not that one who is next to the train piece, because this train piece is ridiculous when I'm going to be working with this guy. He's got 3 defense. That's out of control. We'll roll up our dice, and we got 1 more hit. That's not too bad. Now, of course, I was able to maim him, so he's going to gain fatigue. Reducing the 4 damage to 2 makes it so that our swordsmen are at 4 health. The fatigue token will go right there. He gets -2 movement on his next activation. That's the end of Zaxos. It is time for our enemies to activate. Let's see which one goes. It's going to be the Berserkers again, so nothing happens. I'm again going to attack this defender right here. Let's get him real good. I got 2 more hits. That's a total of 5 damage. -2 is 3. They're only going to take 3 damage after the reduction, so we're going to go to 1. So close to taking 1 out. The rest of these cards are probably all defender cards. Let's see what we have. We do have a veteran defender. He's going to go after me. He's going to advance 3, range 1, 4 base damage, and 2 attack dice. And on special, oh no, I could potentially get stunned. This one is just going to turn and attack, and that one can attack from right where it is. The first veteran defender is going to be the one in blue. Let's see how he does. He did a total of 5 damage. Our second one is going to go. He's in red. He did a total of 6 damage. Lucky for us, he did not get the extra star, or I would have been stunned. I would have had to take this token, and I would have skipped my next activation completely, and that would be murderous right now because there's 2 of them. Our first one did 5, reducing the damage by 2 means we took 3, 1, 2, 3. Our next one did 6, -2 is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, with 2 of these out on the board, this is getting a little rough. I need to take that one out big time. We're going to turn with Zaxos like this and just attack the one in front of us, mainly because we only have to do 1 damage, and he's next to this train, so he is going to reduce it by 3. I only need to get 1 hit, and if I'm able to do that, he's gone, and then all I have to do is take this guy out who's not next to this train piece. Let's roll those 3 dice. I just need 1 hit. Oh, and I got the 1 hit, but just barely. So that's going to do our 4 damage, which is enough to take this guy off the board. He only had 1 left. With their mercenary squad ability, he's going to heal himself back to 10. We'll draw our next card. But before we do, I should have removed this token. He has already activated, and once you do, that goes away. We'll draw our next card, and let's see what happens. It's our defenders. They're going to do that attack again where they could potentially stun me with 3 base damage and 3 attack dice. You may notice that near the end of this fight, it seems to be we're just standing in base-to-base contact and fighting back-to-back. But when you're playing against melee characters, that's really what's going to happen. And this is the Prelude scenario. I'm going to repeat that again. There's a lot more going on in this game than what you're seeing here. This is really just a fun tutorial to teach us how all this really works. With 3 attack dice, he's a better potential getting those specials. Oh, I got super lucky he didn't again. I'm going to take 5 damage, reducing 2. I'm going to take 3. We'll move our marker 1, 2, 3 to 15. It's Zaxos' turn. Roll him up. He got a total of 2 more hits. That's a total of 5. Our veteran defenders will take 3, 1, 2, 3 to 7. Now remember, if I didn't kill the one next to that terrain piece, he would have only taken 2 from that hit, 1, 2, and he would have, I guarantee you, probably would have slowly got me down through here and probably killed me because he'd be reducing damage way more than I would be. Our enemies are going to draw their last card, and it's going to be a defender again because that's all that's left. He's going to advance 3. He's got 4 base damage and 2 attack dice with the potential to knock back. Roll them up and see what we get. Oh, we got 2 more hits. Oh my gosh, that's 6 damage. 6 reduced by 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, I might have to heal myself. But then again, it's only 5, and he gets to attack again. It's time to keep taking him out. We're standing in the river. We're going to get him. We'll roll our 3 dice. We got 2 more hits. Oh, I need all the hits I can get. 5 minus 2 is 3, 1, 2, 3, down to 4 health. There are no cards left to draw, so at this point, since there are no berserkers on the field, their whole entire deck is removed. Meaning I am only fighting the defenders now. So there is a strategy to kind of keep some of these creatures on the board, at least while the deck is big, and that way you can keep their cards coming and you actually get some free turns. There is also a variant you can play where if you do draw a card of an enemy that's not there, you just toss that card away and you draw another card, making the game a little bit more difficult. With just our veteran defenders left, let's see what he does. Oh, he has the potential to stun, and look, 6 damage if he rolls the right dice. Rolling 2 dice, he got 2 hits, that is 6 damage, oofda! We are taking 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness, this is so close! I'm really glad we used that turn to heal because I don't think we would have lived if we would have still had that bleed token going on. I got 2 more hits and he's fatigued, but really that's not going to do too much because we're not really moving anymore. So we did a total of 5 damage again. 5 minus 2 is 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think we got him. Yep, I don't think he can actually beat us, but let's draw his next card and see what he does. He could potentially stun me, and that would be absolutely devastating. And he drew the card that he could stun me with. This is the best chance for him to squeak out a victory. If he rolls 2 stun blocks, oh, thank goodness he did not roll any specials. So he is going to do 4 damage. But if he would have gotten 2 specials, I would have been stunned and he would have activated again and probably potentially killed me. We've got 3, 4. I am going to take 2 damage. As you can see, that 2 damage brings us to 5. If I would have been stunned, he would have activated again and been able to do 4 base damage, which would have automatically done 2. Oh, it would have been so close. Wow. That was a really close battle, but we're going to be able to take this guy out because we do a base damage of 3. He's able to reduce it by 1, so he's still going to take 1 even before I roll any dice. He is removed from the board, and this river is running in red, man. We made it through the battle. Just Zaxos remains. Victory! Leaving the assassins to their death cries, Zaxos slowly made his way toward the war room. He stopped at the sound of sword against sword. Jogging laboriously to the nearby window, his outpost was lost. Aberon's forces had taken the courtyard, no doubt due to the gates being left wide open. More of Palar's treachery, Zaxos said, clenching his teeth. Most of Zaxos' soldiers stood to the side, their weapons surrendered, while those that still fought were about to be overwhelmed. Zaxos closed his eyes, say goodbye to his kingdom. Exile it is, then, he said solemnly. Zaxos grabbed what he could and disappeared into a secret tunnel underneath the outpost. We do get some rewards. Sadly, it's not his outpost. His outpost is gone. Zaxos earns the arena equipment card Face Silk Net. Treat as a normal equipment card. The Face Silk Net's uses do not replenish at the end of an encounter. The card is discarded permanently when the last one is depleted. Here's our Face Silk Net. It is pretty cool. It says as a free action, I can immobilize a target, and it's a consumable, which means I only get 2 charges. Now, what Immobilize does is the target may not use speed on their next activation. If a seeker or creature is effective with Immobilize, when they already have the token, they become stunned, which of course means they're going to skip their next activation completely. Oofda. Now I can only use this twice, and it's not going to recharge, so I have to pick a very specific time when I think this is going to be very useful for us. There you have it. That's the very first mission in our prelude that we're going up against. Again, this was a really cool tutorial on kind of how the pieces are able to move around and how we're rolling the dice and stuff. There's not a lot of abilities and things happening in this, but it's also cool to see some of the statuses that could potentially fire off against some of our combatants. We'll be moving into the second part of the prelude really soon because I want to get to the third mission because I think the third mission will be really cool. I have yet to actually play these missions, but from just skimming through what I've seen, I think the third mission is going to look really cool. It's going to be where he is going to be taking on actual seekers, so I think it'll be a fun fight. We'll have to see how that all plays out. I hope you're enjoying the playthrough. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the rest of this prelude adventure comes out for Wild Assent by Lazy Squire Games. Also, please leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. I'm really having a blast with this game. One thing I enjoy about this game is how fast it moves. Those turns go fast. It's just a move and an action, drawing a card, reading what it does, and doing it. I think that's fantastic. There's not a lot of other things going on in this game that you have to get bogged down by. Of course, you still have to try to position yourself so you're able to maybe get some defense cover or maybe even pull people away from the defense cover. So there's a lot of maneuvering that you have to still do to still try to become the most advantageous fighter that you can be. Again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see what happens to Zaxos in the next mission, then I need you to meet me at the table.